gonna be real. Okay, that was Meech on the phone. He's still up in Ohio. He needs me to secure a meetup between him and the bub from 6 Mile.
When?
2 days. At the stash house in Amtrak.
When you're running a business with your family, it can be tough. Everybody has their own ideas of how things should be done, and that can cause a lot of problems. It can lead to fights and disagreements, and sometimes even family members making decisions on their own without talking to the rest of the group. And I think that's the best way to sum up family business in episode 2. Terry learns that doing business with his pops Charles brings the same problems it did while running the drug game with Meech. But Meech also runs into issues with his prospective new business partner in Cleveland. That makes family members taking decisions into their own hands. B-Mickie, he's also about family business, protecting his mom, but lurking around the corner is always Detective Bryant. But this whole episode is focused on a whole host of family problems, with some that have been brewing for a while. So we're gonna run through a breakdown of all things BMF Season 2, Episode 2. Family business starts with a car ride service. Charles thinks that Terry is dressed way too casual. He wants him to get rid of his chain. But even though I don't always agree with Charles, it was hard not to in this instance. Running a successful car ride service doesn't just involve picking up and dropping a customer off. Your image and reputation definitely play a huge part. For example, later in episode 2, him and Meech had to protect their image and reputation for both their businesses, but just in different ways. And I definitely agree with the older Terry's narration. The customers are not always right, so I don't blame Terry for doing what he did. But he wanted to prove Charles he had what it takes. And after speaking with Markeisha at the insurance office, he learns how to make more money. But sometimes making more money requires investment. But the most important lesson Markeisha taught Terry was that he can make more money picking up passengers from the airport, because they're always willing to pay more. And he puts both of these ideas into action. But before we get to that, Markeisha's been growing as Terry's love interest since episode 1, and even though she's rejected his approach so far, they do spend a lot of time together, and it is a relationship that will no doubt continue to grow as season 2 goes on, one which will cause a problem for Wanda. But we can also even rewind it back to season 1, when Markeisha caught Terry's eye in episode 1. But back to business. Terry's a businessman and he's a hustler, and throughout episode 2 we see both.
I even came up with a business slogan. We go where you go.
You didn't get out the drug game to be driving through the worst parts of town.
And take risks to expand. We could corner an underserved market. And I even brought some first-class snacks to lock down first-class passengers.
Now the only issue is, Charles is stuck in his way, and he's also making business decisions without Terry. For example, bringing on a third driver. But when it came to Terry investing in refreshments, he called it a waste of money and told Terry to stick to who and what we know in regards to picking up customers around the community rather than the airport. Now with Lucille, tension has been brewing ever since season 1, and their romance was long gone in episode 1. There also seems to be financial issues even with the new business, and with Lucille finding a dirty magazine in Charles's guitar case, that didn't help either. Although I do need to say, even though the settlement money was Terry's and they invested it in a car ride service, if they didn't invest so heavily, they could have released a bit of financial burden in the household, and things wouldn't be so tight financially. So on one hand, where Charles restored to X-rated magazines, we saw Lucille resorting to taking out a credit card in Nikki's name, and she used a credit card to buy some bras, a dress, and a nightgown, which of course was never going to go down well with Charles.
It's levels to this shit, Meech. The first is stacking a grip, so you can invest in businesses like this that generates cash. Then you have scratch whenever shit dry up and spots to watch your money.
If we've learned one thing about K9 in episode 1, it was that he has a lot of wise words, and Meech can definitely learn a thing or two. The Black Mafia family didn't just become something overnight because of Meech's vision and Terry's brain. They learn from the old heads and mentors, which includes Pat. But as always, sometimes a student definitely outgrows the teacher, which is what happened in the case of Pat. But K9 seems to be doing a good job at keeping Meech in line. They were shot at early in episode 2 by someone who seems like he wanted payback for K9 killing the basketball coach, and this was never going to end well for the shooter, because when someone violates, they demonstrate. Now Meech may one day take a leaf out of K9's playbook, especially if anybody steps out of line in Cleveland. He met his cousin who introduced him to Rell, and they quickly made a deal. And we saw how quickly Meech was able to help his cousin scale up his business. This was a throwback to season 1 with the food trucks, except instead of the burgers, it was the videos. Now Meech needed B-Mickie to drop him some product, but not only was B-Mickie occupied with his mom, Terry noticed that the cops were setting up checkpoints, and so it would have been a risk for B-Mickie to travel to Cleveland with weight in his car. So instead, Terry came to the rescue. But we do have to say, earlier in the episode, we hear Terry blast Meech for potentially carrying weight in the car with Lucille and Nikki, but Meech said he'd never put them in danger. Ironically, it was actually Terry who was the one who put Wanda and his baby in danger by swapping the baby formula for the product he was taking to Cleveland, and he had a good reason to be sweating in this moment, as well as this. But he made it, and so did the product. But again, tension continues with the two brothers, especially when they were at the movies with Nikki. Now this is where Meech hit some trouble with his business deal. Rell took his product because him and his crew wanted a bigger cut, but with no backup and no manpower, Meech did the right thing and walked away to fight another day, and he did exactly that. Everyone has a weak spot, you just need to find it, and Rell's weak spot was his mom, so the tables have turned, and now Rell will answer to Meech's cousin, who will then report to Meech directly. But I don't see Rell sitting back and taking orders. Sometimes it turns into an ego thing, and we all know people get greedy in the game. So there may be trouble on the horizon in Cleveland, which is why I think it's worth taking it back to the lessons K9 has been teaching Meech. Anyone who violates, they demonstrate, and that's what I feel like Meech will have to do eventually. Now, as much as B-Mickie is a snitch, there is a part of me that feels sorry for him. He's got a real love for his mom, and all he wants to do is look after her, just like he looked after him when he was a kid. It also seems like she's suffering from dementia, because Detective Bryant mentioned dementia, and she also asked about Kato, who we all know is dead. Or maybe B-Mickie hasn't broken the news to his mom. So this was B-Mickie's family business, but around the corner, and the flowers were from Detective Bryant, who warned him the facility will end up killing his mom from all the neglect before the dementia does, but he does have the power to move her into a better facility, but he wants Meech. So B-Mickie did give up a spot where he said Meech would be, something which was questioned in the investigation room by GQ, but Veronica's proved she's a tough cookie, and she backed Brian, her partner, and rightly so. The intel proved to be true, apart from Meech being there, but they did get two guys off the street and confiscate some weight. But this story with Bryant, B-Mickie, and Meech isn't over. B-Mickie really is in deep, and every episode it seems like he's digging his grave even deeper. Now elsewhere, at the end of episode 1, we saw Lamar waking up from the gunshot wound, and by taking out the security guard outside the hospital bed in episode 2, he made his escape. Now this is the danger with Lamar, turning a weakness into a strength, and being able to move under the radar and plan 3 moves ahead while his enemies believe he's dead. And that's one of the best positions to be in. But I don't expect Lamar to be a problem just yet. He's got a long road to recovery, so I expect Lamar to be a problem towards the second half of season 2. But that's a breakdown of family business, one which showed us the complexity of how each of our characters are dealing with family issues. In the Flannery household, Charles and Lucille's marriage seems to be breaking as each episode passes by. There's also a lack of trust between Charles and Terry with the car ride service, and no doubt, this is something that will most likely lead Terry back into the game, where Meech has business issues himself. K9 continues to show he doesn't play games, but B-Mickie continues to be a problem inside his organization, and with Brian taking care of his family, he continues with his mission of trying to catch Meech. But drop all your thoughts down below on all things episode 2, and of course if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, now remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF, Snowfall, and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.